Hello, I'm Leanne Spearing with the Shrine of St. Faustina of Divine Mercy in Bartlett, Tennessee. Today I have with me Vince Balla. Hi, Vince.
Hi,
How are you this evening?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. So nice to finally meet you.
Likewise.
I have heard about some stories that you have that demonstrate the movement of God's divine mercy in your life. And so I'm curious about how that's working in your life or how that came to be. I was wondering if you'd be willing to share with us a story or two, or just kind of how you came to learn about divine mercy.
Great, I will. I'll share a few things with you.
Okay.
And I'm pleased that you're asking me. It's been this journey that I've started with Divine Mercy and the Shrine affiliation, and Jay being so involved with it has helped me. But basically, I kind of came to Divine Mercy by accident. I started to frequent the chapel here to find a place away from the hustle and bustle of the daily life to say a few prayers from time to time. I did it usually when it was really, I had stress in my life, and I just felt a need to talk to God. And there's no better place to talk to God than in a chapel where you're alone with the Spirit, and it's quiet, and you can pray and you can talk to God. And I started coming here periodically, maybe once a week or so, and after work, especially when work was very stressful, it has been stressful. So decided to check it out, go back there and look around and pick up the holy cards and read them and find out about this person called St. Faustina, who really was what this was all about. Her St. Faustina and what she represented, and the spiritual blessings that God bestowed upon her to convey to us. So I was like amazed that here is a person who had a personal interaction for years with Jesus, and he instructed her to write a diary so that from that point forward mankind would know about divine mercy, the divine mercy, and the chaplet prayer that went along with it. And then also the image, which is a vessel of grace of itself. Just the image is a vessel of grace. But Jesus instructed St. Faustina to paint this particular image, or have it done. She didn't paint it, but she had it done, and to me that's very profound. It's like, we always read the Bible, and we think about, because the Bible's ancient, and the writings are ancient, and the scriptures and the parables are all there, but it's hard to relate to them sometimes because they're so old and they're in such ancient times. But here you have a person, wasn't that far removed from 1930s, who as an adult had a personal relationship with Jesus, and he spoke to her and told her, write this down, have this picture done, and so that this prayer, say this prayer, this is the most important prayer, say it at the 3 o'clock hour, the hour of my death, and spread it to the world.
And you learned these things through the chapel and frequenting the chapel here, and learning about St. Faustina.
I did. That first experience when I started reading about St. Faustina on the holy cards and saying the chaplet, I noticed that a spiritual change in myself. I noticed that a profound change in me, and I began to, whenever I would go to the chapel, I would make a point to go back in that corner and pray the chaplet to the image and to St. Faustina. And so it was a discovery for me, and I made a point to take some cards, holy cards of her, of the image and the chaplet, and keep them in my pocket, because I thought it was pretty personal. For that discovery for me, it was very personal, and I started to believe in it.
And you had said that it changed you. In what
Yes.
ways would you say you noticed a change?
I noticed that when I said the chaplet of Divine Mercy prayer, and I said it, I would say it especially when I needed spiritual guidance and help in my life. In my life, for certain circumstances, for my family, for my welfare, my safety of my family, just different things, especially in times of need or trouble, or when I was mentally stressed, very stressed, and I just felt like I felt a calming sense and presence whenever I would say it, and I felt as though if I would just trust Jesus, as it says, if I just would trust Him, that things would work out, and to forget about it, just trust in Him, not trying to do it myself.
Easier said than done as humans, right?
Yes, yes. So very early on, in one of the first couple times I visited the shrine and prayed, and I always kept the cards on me because I felt it was comforting to have them with me at all times, because the image is special, and so I'll always have them now. But one of the first times that I visited the shrine, it was after a particularly very stressful day at work, really stressful, and I really felt a need to go and pray. So I did, and it was probably around 5:30 in the evening, sometime around there, when I left there after I spent a short time praying there in the chapel. I left the chapel and got in my truck and drove down Stage Road, and some kind of metaphysical thing happened to me. I think it was a blackout of some kind, or something happened, caused my truck to leave the road and smash into a telephone pole. And it was a very, very traumatic. I've never been in an accident like that before. It was pretty rough. The truck was totally smashed, telephone pole was knocked over. I don't remember what happened. All I remember is this loud bang, boom, the airbags deployed, and I was laying there. The truck was on its side. Some good Samaritans stopped to help me and called 911 and ended up going to the emergency room with the ambulance and all of that. I was pretty much unscathed. I just had a seatbelt bruise, essentially. But other than that, I was pretty much unscathed. The truck was total. It was smashed, and everyone there that was there said this could have worked out. It could have been a lot worse for you, but it wasn't. I was really blessed that I walked away from it. I did go to the emergency room. I was kind of traumatized. I didn't really realize what was totally happening. They put me into the ambulance. We went to St. Francis here locally. And when I was waiting in the emergency room on the gurney to be seen by the emergency room folks, I thought to myself, geez, I guess I better call. I did call, and I got through to my daughter. She ended up coming to the hospital. But while I was feeling around for my phone, it says I have it right now in my right-hand pocket down here is where I always keep my phone. I was searching around, and I found the cards, the holy cards that were there, and I pulled them out, and I said, dang, wow, that's pretty interesting, that's pretty neat. But I just feel like the fact that I had those holy cards on me at that time, and I just picked them up in the chapel, that maybe it helped me somehow, some way. To me, it was a divine protection, yes. And I will always have that. And so, look, the short of the story is that I wasn't severely injured. My truck was demolished, of course. So none the worse for wear. I came through it with I think a spiritual awakening, and I became closer to the St. Faustina shrine and the image after that incident. So I was in 2013, that was in September of 2013, so 5 years ago is when that happened.
So it sounds like you have a deeper devotion to not just St. Faustina, but to the message of divine mercy.
I do.
Having seen it in your life personally.
And that's probably the largest event to happen to me that I correlate to a spiritual connection with the message of divine mercy, as you say.
Yes.
So, but other little things throughout my life have been there. I mean, just little things on a daily basis. You just turn it over to Jesus, and you say a little prayer. Or at work, I try to say something at 3 o'clock. Is when 3 o'clock hour comes, trying to look away from my computer, stop what I'm doing, and say the Divine Mercy prayer. Some days, if I'm really need special help, I will say the whole chaplet. I'll just go somewhere and say it at 3 o'clock. If I have to leave my desk, I will. If it's a particular quiet time in my work environment, I'll say it at my desk. But I'll say the chaplet before special intention that I feel is important. It doesn't happen every day. I don't get to say the chaplet every day, but I try to say at least take a minute or two or break at 3 o'clock to say the prayer.
Yes.
Because it's Jesus tells us that's important to do, and I feel that it helps me. But the Divine Chaplet prayer itself is such a special prayer. It has so much power. It's very powerful. It's probably the most powerful prayer that I'm familiar with, and it's helped me immensely in ways I can't imagine. I mean, things in my life that have been, people would say would be coincidences or just luck. I don't attribute to that. I think there is a definite correlation between becoming close to God and divine mercy and things working out in your life.
Have you always had that perspective that it's not a coincidence, it's a God thing or a spiritual connection, or has that developed over time?
I think growing up as a Catholic and always having a Catholic background, not totally being 100% devout my whole life, I'm more now. I'm probably the most closer to God now than I've ever been. But over the years, I've kind of always believed that if you pray, say your silent prayers, God's watching over you, maybe through your guardian angel or in different ways. But I feel now, for sure, that the Divine Mercy prayer and the chaplet are especially special in my life, and I've become closer, a lot more devout now than I have ever been, ever. And it's a happy blessing, because I want to tell other people, and there's nothing like the blessings of Saint Faustina and her diary. I mean, to me, it's the closest thing to being here with God. I mean, here's a direct writing from Jesus that was transcribed, and you're reading what Jesus said as a real person to this lowly nun, and she was just she wasn't even the top dog in the nunnery, if you will, convent. She was the lowest one on the totem pole, the one that they made fun of. She was considered the bottom of the ladder in the hierarchy of that convent. Almost, she was given the worst jobs to do. But yet, that is the person Jesus chose to be the messenger. He didn't pick the Mother Superior or any of the prominent nuns. He picked the lowest one, the one that no one thought anything of. They made fun of her. They thought she was crazy. Yet, that's the person Jesus chose. Just like he chose Peter, the fisherman, poor lowly fisherman, to be his rock to build his church. Peter was not prominent. Peter was probably wasn't even the best fisherman. He just happened to be the one that God thought, this is the one I'm going to build my rock on. And Jesus knew that he was going to be betrayed by Peter before he died, but yet it didn't matter. He had all the faith in him, and so it's the same with Saint Faustina.
So there's hope for all of us.
Oh, of
that,
course.
We don't have to earn God's mercy or earn His favors in our humbleness and our littleness.
Yep. In actuality, God cares about us, the lowest person. It doesn't matter who you are or what your status is. As long as you believe, you will be saved by Jesus, and He will help you in your daily life. You may not see it immediately, you may not know about it,
It may
But-
not be as drastic as a car accident
Correct.
like yours.
May not be that drastic
Yeah.
as that event in my life, but nonetheless, there's a calmness and a sense of security more than I've ever had before, knowing that I don't have to worry because Jesus is there all the time. And so it's been a blessing in my life, and things in my life have changed immensely for the better. I still have trials and tribulations, we all do, but now I offer them up. It manifests itself in different ways you don't even expect.
Right.
You just don't expect things to happen to you that way. I mean, it's just
That's
a miracle.
amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, you've got some amazing stories, a wonderful storyteller. Thank you so much for sharing just how Divine Mercy is working in your life and how you're able to spread Divine Mercy in your world and those around you. Thank you.